So, what does Sergio Aragonés' Groo the Wanderer issue 87 from the Marvel run and Sergio Aragonés' Groo #1 from the Dark Horse run have to do with Sergio Aragonés' Boogeyman comics? Hi, I'm Darren, these are my hands, and this is GrooTube, where we appreciate the art of Sergio Aragonés. Hey, today I've got a couple Groo comics out, but I've also got some Boogeyman comics out. I've got all the Boogeyman comics out. Now, you might be thinking, of course he's got Boogeyman out, it's the end of October. Why are these two Groo comics out? Well, I don't want to talk about the front of the Boogeyman comics, although they're pretty neat. I don't want to talk about what's inside the Boogeyman comics because, well, it's what's inside the Boogeyman comics. What I want to talk about is what's on the back of these Boogeyman comics and the back of these two comics. So let's get to the back of the comics. Okay, so the back of the Boogeyman comics feature these short comics featuring Mr. Diggs from the inside of the Boogeyman comics. And I bet you know where I'm going with this now. Way back in issue number 87 of the Marvel Epic run, Groo the Wanderer, 1983. Hey, it's a really expensive comic. It's $2.25. Yeah, well, it's on nice paper and there's no ads. And on the back, there's a short Rufferto comic. That's right, 1992 saw the beginning of these Rufferto shorts. And if you take a look at a Rufferto short, you're going to say, that's the same format that Sergio used on the back cover of the Boogeyman comics for the Mr. Diggs. And Rufferto, just like the Rufferto shorts, the Mr. Diggs were short 3 to 12 panel affairs where Mr. Diggs would either get into some trouble or sneak out of some sort of trouble. So let's take a quick look at a couple of them. From the first Boogeyman issue in July of 1998, we've got Mr. Diggs enjoying a sandwich on the front cover, somebody stealing his apple, and on the back, the first Mr. Diggs short comic. And what makes this a really odd Mr. Diggs comic is that Mr. Diggs is nowhere to be found in this short little comic, except for right up at the very top, he's playing his banjo, and he's surrounded by a bunch of ghosts. The gag, of course, is pretty self-explanatory, unless you don't notice this little woodpecker here, tapping away on this utility pole, making a tock sound. Kinda sounds like somebody rapping on the inside of a coffin. I guess that's what they're thinking here. Mr. Diggs. Let's take a look at another one. From the second issue of Sergio Aragonés' Boogeyman. That's a gruesome cover. Mr. Diggs is having a nice snooze at the cemetery as the priest walks by, followed by the pallbearers. Oh, what's going on? What? The funeral? I haven't dug the grave yet. Of course, Mr. Diggs is a gravedigger. That's kind of part of the gag. Another, not too humorous, short little comic at the back of Sergio Aragonés' Boogeyman. So I've explained why we've got issue 87 out here, because that was the first Rufferto comic, upon which the Mr. Diggs shorts were based. Why Groo #1 from the Dark Horse run? Well, Sergio was probably writing and drawing the Boogeyman comics right around the same time this first Dark Horse Groo came out, January 1998. And the Boogeyman series came out in August of 98. Actually, June, July, August, and September. Probably dated a month early so that the final would be coming out for Halloween 1998. So that's why I've got issue #1 out here. And here's another Rufferto comic to have a good laugh at. I don't know, I think this one is actually pretty funny. Rufferto wants these fish in the pond. He sees a guy walking along, chases him, scares him into the pond, splash, the fish get splashed out, and Rufferto gets a lunch. I don't know, I think that's kind of funny. Boogeyman #3 of 4. A couple of pallbearers are asking Mr. Diggs which way to the gravesite, and Mr. Diggs gives directions. Here comes another set of mourners. Which way to the gravesite? Mr. Diggs gives them directions. Wanders along. What's that commotion he hears? Oh, he's only dug one gravesite. I don't know. Maybe the whole Boogeyman comic series treads a little too close to genuine human evil and human suffering for my tastes. I prefer this style of comic to this style of comic. But let's take a look at the last Mr. Diggs comic and see if it fares any better. Sergio Aragonés Boogeyman, issue number 4 of 4, $2.95. $2.95. Same price. There's Sergio. He likes that pen. And what's going on with Mr. Diggs here? Well, Mr. Diggs is digging a grave. Digging it deep, 6 feet down. Hey, I can't get out. Well, lucky for Mr. Diggs, there's a caretaker around who can fetch him a ladder and let him out. And we can laugh at Mr. Diggs' foolishness here. So I guess that makes this particular Mr. Diggs cartoon a little bit funnier in my eyes. Hey, something I just noticed. Slide over, Mr. Diggs. Because I'm much more accustomed to the earlier Rufferto shorts. There's the new Rufferto shorts logo. New in 1998. I really like the look of that doggo's face there. Hang on, dummy, you've done it wrong. Issue number 1, 2, 3, and 4 of Sergio Aragonés Boogeyman. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed this short little look at a few comics on the back of Sergio Aragonés Boogeyman, a couple connections to some old Groo comics, and maybe a little bit of a fright for those dark October nights. If you liked this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on because I will be back again soon with another GrooTube. Oh, check out the nice paper. Ooh, no ads. Looks so good. Old Groo and old Rufferto.